Good morning. Good morning, Iris.
Good morning, Laura.
Good morning to everyone who's here present, to everyone who's listening and watching us from their home. Welcome to our third day of this training of leadership and mentorship, where we will continue with the speeches of our mentors in training. Today they will give their speeches in English. Please, if you're watching from home, feel free to share on the webinar chat. Your feedback is also very valuable to them. And throughout today and this afternoon, we will continue deepening into this importance of communication, the impact it has on the bonds, the relationships that we build, that we form on our personal lives, in our professional lives, what we transmit when we want to share something, how our voice, the language we choose, are also part of this very important communication.
And in the last days, we have already found the different. Where? Yes. So, like normally the Spanish speakers, now we have to remember to speak slowly in English. This also already as a reminder for Rebecca and Steve. When you're up here, it's very important to breathe. For the public, for those that have been here before or maybe not, we had these 3 different points that we're focusing on when listening. And what Laura already said, it's not only about the words, but the first thing we said to focus on is how does the transmission of the person make you feel? So for everybody listening, for everybody here, for everybody at home, go inside and feel what comes to you listening to the discourse of the person, to the speech of the person. The second point was, where does it take me? And the third, what am I confronted with when I'm listening? And maybe it's also interesting for Steve and Rebecca, before starting, to have these 3 points in mind. What do you want to transmit? Where do you want to take the one who's listening? And what do you want to confront with? Or maybe what are you confronted with? But I think before starting the speeches, Laura, I think we're going to have another event.
So, as you know, we are about 30 people living in the conscious community of Madrid. And during this confinement, one of the ways in which we have organized this space of living together is creating groups who rotate every day. And so it's a different group every day who's in charge of the cleaning of the whole house and of the cooking for the whole group of 30 people. And today's group is formed by Alberto Varela, his partner Paula, Bruno, and Lorenzo, who arrived from Italy recently. And we will be doing shortly a brief connection to the kitchen, where they will be cooking and also watching and listening to the speeches. And we wanted to do this so that you could also come closer to us and share with us these moments of intimacy that are merged in and fused together with the very profound work that's being done on a parallel level simultaneously. And that And here is the kitchen. And there is Alberto.
Un chimichurri para comer con lo que van a poner en la parrilla.
So we're
Y la
having
base de la salsa
a grill
para la pasta de
today.
hoy.
He's currently doing
Hoy me
chimichurri,
tocó
which is a sauce for the meat that will
no
be
me tocó.
grilled. The grill is actually prepared with the ay Dios, brasas, with the
Esto
coals
también,
from the sweat lodge that we did earlier this morning.
como bien decía Lorenzo, esto también es una clase de escuela
So as
consciente.
Lorenzo said, this is also a conscious school class.
Cocinando una salsa riquísima.
Cooking this delicious sauce. There's Paula, Bruno, Liana. I don't think.
¿Le metemos?
Sí, ¿está lista o pícalo más?
Un poquito más, sí.
Eso. Que conste que la salsa no hay que picarlo mucho.
Menos.
La salsa lleva cava.
Please notice that the sauce is going to have some sparkly bubbles.
Muy chiquitito.
Ahí, Bruno te lo pica.
We have to chop some more garlic. And this is a great moment to observe what Iris was saying before, how every act becomes an act of communication.
A ver,
So,
quiero que filmes una cara.
so Alberto is asking for someone's face to be recorded.
Quiero que filmes una cara.
It sounds like someone is going to have the honor of tasting the
A ver.
sauce.
La cara de Lorenzo.
And it's
A ver.
Lorenzo's face that we're going to be. And they are very coordinated in their colors. Let's see Lorenzo's face. Of course, it's
Yo quiero probar.
interesting to have an Italian tasting a pasta sauce. It's also an act of communication.
Va mejorando.
Va mejorando.
Va mejorando.
Here we see the woman's demand and request for perfection. But the sauce is improving, which is important. And there we're adding a little bit of garlic.
No, this is anacardos, ¿cómo se dice?
Ah, cashews. Not garlic. So, what were the 3 points, Iris? How do you feel?
How do you feel when you look at this? What's being transmitted? Where does it take you? And what are you confronted with?
Diana.
I would. And that is Liana. More cashews? Slash garlic.
No, this is ginger.
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 So we have here our tech team is feeling hunger.
Saluda Vicente, estás al aire.
¿Qué tal? Salud.
Vicente, our musician, Lorenzo.
And Vicente also was the one leading the Temazcal this morning, the sweat lodge.
We're doing 2 sweat lodges every week. One we do early in the morning, like we did today at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then once a week we do it in the evening after the evening emission. And then after the emission, when we do it in the evening, we have a moonlight dinner in our garden under some beautiful trees. Also using the wood that's left from the sweat lodge to do the cooking. And
Ah, qué bueno. Galletita. ¿De cuál?
Listo, tengo la salsa preparada.
So is there anyone in the kitchen that wants to share some last words with us before we come back to Rebecca and Steve and their speeches? ¿Me oyen en la cocina?
Sí, oímos desde la cocina.
Pregúntales, Giovanni, si alguno de la cocina quiere compartir algunas palabras con nosotros antes de devolver el momento aquí
Te están
al
escuchando.
estudio y a Rebeca, que va a hacer su discurso.
Comparte un poco, Lorenzo.
Sí. Estoy aquí desde 40 horas.
I've been here for 40
Y
hours.
han pasado más cosas en 40 horas que en varios meses de mi vida.
More things have happened in 40 hours than in several months in my life.
Y aquí se mueve todo muy veloz.
Here, everything moves very quickly.
Esta mañana hicimos un temazcal.
We did a sweat lodge this morning.
Y he conectado con algo de muy profundo.
And I connected with something very deep.
Tenía que ver con algo que me pasa desde cuando soy niño en mi vida.
It had to do with something that happens to me since I've been a child.
Y tiene que ver con una percepción que está activa en mi estructura.
And it has to do with a perception that's active in my structure.
Que es precisamente, podemos decir, la humillación.
Which is precisely humiliation.
Y todo lo que se activa alrededor de esta
And
percepción.
everything that becomes activated around this perception.
Lo que me pasa es que me voy a mover en un triángulo.
What happens is that I move within a triangle,
Encarnando todos los vértigos.
incarnating all the vertigos.
Y ese triángulo que va con la cumbre hacia
And
abajo,
this triangle, which is pointing downwards,
que lo puedo llamar el triángulo de la reactividad.
that I can call the triangle of reactivity.
Tiene en un punto tiene la sumisión,
That in one point it has submission,
que es el espacio interno que voy a ocupar cuando alguien desde afuera tiene una energía que yo percibo como tirana.
¿Cómo qué? And this is
Tiranía.
the internal space that I am going to occupy if someone from the outside comes with an energy that I perceive as tyranny.
Tiranía es un otro vértigo.
Tyranny is another vertigo. Does he mean vertigo or vortex? He means vortex, not vertigo.
Otro punto
The
del
axis of
triángulo.
the triangle, the points of the triangle.
Y lo último punto del triángulo es la
And the
rebelión.
last point of the triangle is rebellion.
En toda mi vida me he movido en todos esos
And
vértigos.
throughout my life, I've been moving throughout these vortex.
Y lo que he visto esta mañana es que hasta que voy reaccionando,
What I saw this morning is that for as long as I continue reacting,
no me rindo.
I don't give up. I don't surrender.
Y un poquito eso.
And a little bit like that.
Y se siente una muy buena energía aquí que lo puede transformar todo.
But I feel a very good energy here that can transform everything.
Y he tenido una confrontación esta mañana.
Certainly, I've had a confrontation this morning.
Y más allá de la reactividad, puedo de verdad entrar en una
And
confrontación.
beyond reactivity, I can truly enter into this confrontation.
Hasta que estoy reaccionando, no puedo entrar en una confrontación, ni de una parte ni de otra.
However, if I am in my reaction, I can't enter into a confrontation.
Y siempre más estoy comprendiendo el poder de sanación de la confrontación.
But more and more, I am comprehending the power to heal of confrontation.
Y sin reactividad, decir sí, la dejo entrar.
¿Lo puedes repetir, Lorenzo, y pedir que por favor paren la batidora?
Pero, sin reactividad,
Without reactivity,
decir sí, la dejo
I
entrar.
can say yes, I allow for it to enter.
Y hasta que no la dejo entrar,
And
no puedo estar
until I
en
allow
confrontación.
it to enter, I can't surrender to it.
Y hasta que no la dejo entrar, la confrontación,
And until I allow it to
Nunca.
enter,
nunca puedo encontrar un lugar desde el cual confrontar a la persona que tengo enfrente a mí,
and until I allow it to enter, I cannot find a space to confront the person that I have in front of me either.
de manera que la confrontación llegue al alma y no al personaje que se puede
In
activar.
such a way that the confrontation reaches the soul and not just merely the character that can become activated.
Sí, todo tiene que ver con la cumbre hacia arriba,
And then the triangle with the pointing upwards,
que puede ser, ¿no? Que es el complementar de eso que hemos dicho.
that somehow
Hacia abajo.
complements the one that we mentioned was pointing downwards.
Entonces, abajo tenemos sumisión, rebelión y tiranía.
So pointing downwards, we've got submission, rebellion, and tyranny.
Con la cumbre tenemos
With the peak pointing upwards, we have
confianza, libertad y incondicionalidad.
trust, freedom, and unconditionality.
Y para mí dejar entrar una quiere decir ser. Y nada, eso es lo que
And
entonces
what happened was that I allowed the confrontation to enter this morning.
quizá ahora aquí en cocina con Alberto Varela.
And who knows what's going to happen now in the kitchen with Alberto Varela.
Y nada, sigo aprendiendo y viendo y
So-
disfrutando.
That's it. I continue learning, enjoying.
Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorenzo. Gracias a todos los de la cocina.
No,
Thank
no,
you
no,
from the
sure.
kitchen.
No,
We might reconnect back with you later on.
contigo.
Sí.
Muchas gracias.
Laura, estoy terminando de hacer la salsa y voy para el estudio en menos de un minuto.
¿Con salsa o
Que,
sin
por cierto,
salsa?
el estudio está a apenas 10 minutos de la cocina.
A 10 minutos segundos.
A 10 metros.
A 10 metros.
Wow, 10 minutos es bastante.
Laura,
Te voy a llevar para que pruebe la salsa.
Eso. Si no hay muestra, no se entra. Con pan piden por aquí.
Voy.
Con pan.
Compara.
So in a few minutes he'll be done with the sauce and he will be joining us in the tent. He'll bring some sauce and some breads for us to try, or we don't need to let him in. Thank you guys. Thanks for that delicious looking food that you're making for us. And ciao. Bye. And back to us.
Yeah. So Lorenzo already gave his speech. And I think a bit later I'm going to ask him to make another ending. But because he ended like, oh yeah, and nothing. That's what we talked about yesterday. But so now, I guess without a lot of fuss, we start with the speeches.
So, ¿y la salsa? So, Steve or Rebecca, who wants to begin? Okay. With me, and this one we're eating. Sí, ahora vamos a hacerlo suave, que se vea el grapes.
Good morning, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and having this opportunity to give a speech in front of many of my peers. The title that I chose, not immediately, but the title I've ended up with, is What Place Do I Occupy? When I first was told that I would be giving a speech, I chose the subject of goals and objectives and purpose, because this is something that I've hidden from all my life. But when I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, feeling that I'd discovered over the last few days that I actually don't exist. Thanks for that, Alberto. So did I need to change what I should talk about? My immediate reaction was no way, because I've never given a speech, a class, or a meeting without preparation, without practice. And to change at this late stage would be suicidal. But change I did. I did manage to scribble down a few notes. I did have lovely triangles on the previous topic. But, a late change was important, because this speech will now be coming from here rather than from here. And I think that's important. I started to ask myself why I don't exist. And I realized that I actually never did. I'm the middle child of 5, where we have firstborn and eldest. Then we have mummy's pet. Then we have just me. Then we have daddy's pet. And we have the baby, Rebecca. I didn't have a place even in my family. I didn't exist. I was just the one in the middle. Where do I exist here in Madrid, within Beyond Inner? I don't know. Certainly, the language is holding me back. There are many times that I want to speak, but feel it would be putting on somebody to translate. The language is improving, but we have work to do, which is happening thanks to Duolingo. I hope I get paid for that advert. I'm not yet part of the team in Beyond Inner, so this again makes me feel that I don't exist. And I'm not sure when I become part of the team exactly where I'll fit in. But during the Temescal, the sweat lodge this morning, I comprehended that none of that really matters. That this is not about fitting into Beyond Inner, fitting into the community in Madrid. My journey began over 10 years ago when I acquired a brain injury. This brought about an immaculate change in personality. But the one thing that it really did was allowed me to be open to a new reality. And this is where I'll hopefully belong, where I'll hopefully exist, and the place that I will occupy. My time now is not about how I'm going to fit in the immediate future, but it's about becoming conscious and living consciously. It's this consciousness that's going to enable humanity to transcend to the fourth dimension. And as revealed to me during Bufo and again with ayahuasca, it's in this dimension that I have some very important work to do in the universe. So my time now, the place I occupy, is a place to become conscious. And that's going to enable me to get to the important part of where the work I need to do will be carried out. So to summarize, like growing up in hand-me-down clothes, I will fit where I touch. And what's important is to live with consciousness, as we do in this community. It's been an amazing time so far, and lots more amazing times to come. But it is this consciousness that's going to allow me to have an impact on the universe. And that's what's required from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. I would like to invite the public to do the evolution. And remember, going back to the questions that we've posed in the beginning. How do you feel? What did the speech take you? And what has been confronted in you by the speech?
First of all, thank you, Steve. I was working on my computer when you started talking, and all of a sudden I just stopped. I didn't realize that it was you. I just stopped. I had to, and started looking at you, and then I knew it was because of that. I don't know if it's something you said or something that I received, but I just had to be there in what was happening. So it took me to here and now, your speech. It confronted me in that I haven't yet done a first speech, and I've been running away from doing it. And I felt confronted in that you've been with us a couple of days. As you say, you're not yet part of Beyond Inner, and you're doing it wonderfully well. And it inspired me in just doing it from the heart, which is what I felt. Thank you.
Thanks, Amalia. So then if there's time later, you can give your speech as well.
Anyone else wants to give feedback?
It's also possible in Spanish, so we can translate. Es también posible hacerlo en español y vamos a traducir.
Antes que nada, muchas gracias por tu discurso
Before anything else, thank you very much for your speech,
y gracias por tu presencia aquí en esta familia.
and thank you for your presence here in this family.
A mí me ha llevado a la gratitud,
It brought me to gratitude,
a la valentía,
to courage,
al coraje, a la decisión,
to the decision,
a la exposición,
the exposition,
a la ternura,
softness,
a la inocencia.
and innocence,
Al aquí y ahora.
to the here and now.
Y me confronta
And it confronted me
en muchos sentidos, pero en uno en particular,
in many ways, but one in specific,
que tiene que ver con que están sucediendo cosas muy profundas
which has to do with the fact that very deep things are happening here
dentro de cada uno de nosotros.
in every single one of us.
Cada uno está en su momento,
Everyone is in their moment,
transitando lo que está transitando.
transitioning what they are transitioning.
Y me confronta en el aspecto justamente de darme cuenta que dentro de cada uno
And it confronts me in exactly that, to realize that in every single one of us,
es un universo.
there's a universe.
Como que el no darnos cuenta de eso,
It's like not realizing that
el no estar atentos a eso,
and not being attentive to that
puede ser que estemos separados del otro,
could mean that we are separating ourselves from the other,
que solo veamos lo más superficial.
that we are only seeing the most superficial.
Y no quedarnos simplemente con lo que vemos,
And let's not stay with what we see,
porque lo que se ve no es lo que es.
because what we see is not what is.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Gracias, Pablo. Who else?
Voy a compartir algo de muy sencillo que
I want to share something from me, something very simple.
por algunas razones me toca, que
For some reason it touched me.
y creo que a lo que tú dices ya lo has comprendido.
And from what you said, you have already comprehended it.
Pero me gusta poner un poquito de atención sobre esa posibilidad.
I would like to put attention on this possibility, this opportunity.
Comparto contigo o puedo comprender muy bien
Through you, I could comprehend very well
la distancia, se puede decir, o toda la dificultad que está en relación con no hablar un idioma compartido desde lo otro.
the distance or separation that can occur when you don't speak the language of the other.
Muchas veces he compartido ese proceso de mí aquí.
Many times I've shared this process of mine here.
Y lo he compartido exactamente porque creo que es mucho más es algo de mucho más profundo de lo que puede parecer.
And I've shared it because I feel like it is much deeper than it might appear sometimes.
Y lo que creo la grande, una cosita antes de terminar.
A small thing before finishing.
He vivido la oportunidad de conocerte, encontrarte en Irlanda.
I've had the chance to get to know you and to meet you in Ireland.
Hace muchos meses.
It's many months ago.
Y recuerdo tu manera de hablar.
And I remembered your way of speaking.
Y lo que está llegando ahora en este discurso
And what is now coming to me in this speech
è una vibración completamente diferente.
was a very different vibration.
Y no sé si es por toda la experiencia que tú has contado, has hecho,
I don't know if it's for the experience that you've had,
o si es por esta magia de un idioma diferente.
or if it's for that magic of the different language.
Pero el punto es exactamente eso.
But the point is exactly this.
Es como decir, a veces no poder hablar con el tiempo, el ritmo y todo lo que sale de la naturaleza de nosotros.
It's like sometimes not being able to speak in that rhythm that is, and to be in that connection with everybody.
È una grande opportunità por encontrar un verdadero lugar.
There's also the great opportunity to encounter your true place.
Porque nos obliga a estar adentro.
Because it obliges us and forces us to be inside.
Porque por conectar con los otros no tenemos nada más que la escucha desde adentro.
Because to connect with the other, we have only the chance to listen from inside.
La conexión desde el sentir.
The connection from the feeling.
Mucho más allá de las palabras.
Which goes much beyond than the words.
Del resonar.
From the resonating.
Sí. Y eso sí que yo veo la diferencia entre el hombre que está en Irlanda y el hombre que es aquí ahora.
I see the difference between the man who was in Ireland and the man who's here right now.
Quién sabe por el discurso que tú no puedes de verdad hacer todos los días.
And who knows what would the speech have been that you could have given in those days.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. I would like to suggest if we want to conclude this evolution, to have one focus point on what the title could be. What was the message beyond words that you have received? What Steve was saying, in the way he was sitting here, his tone of the voice. What is the message he's been given?
I'm not sure what the message was or what the title should be. That is probably something for him to decide. But I would like to give some feedback. And since this is your first training in this Leaders and Mentors program, I'm not going to go into the structure of the speech or the formalities of it. But the feeling that I got from you while you were talking and sharing from the place you were sharing was of some deep sadness that still remained. But this is not an integration either. If it was an integration, it would definitely be a space to deepen into, because it opened a space in me of wanting to go deeper with you into that. To know more about you, but also to know more about sadness and how it arises in childhood in so many people. And I sat here, and initially I was a bit distracted with the cameras, the mics, how are we going to do the feedback details. But when you started sharing from that place you were sharing with, and later I realized that there's this topic or this stereotype about, middle children and how they feel, but it's a topic. I had never received an emotional impact of reflection about it, of bringing it down to the reality, of fitting into hand-me-downs, of having the baby come after, and the impact of finding the place in the family. So I loved hearing something that took me to a different place of reflection within me and opened a space for a new call it perception, comprehension, feeling, or opening to others in a way that I had not before. So, although you mentioned not knowing how you were going to fit in here or doing what or whatever, I am very grateful and I appreciate the fact that you've been here for a few days and you've already opened new spaces of perception within me, of seeing things in a different way. So thank you for that. And maybe you can give us a title, as Iris suggested.
The title should perhaps be, Where Do I Exist? Because I don't know yet.
The feedback that I wanted to give you went exactly to that point. The message that reached me from you was something like, I don't know yet. Like, I see what's moving and I see that I can find my place, but not yet. From a place of hesitation and maybe small resistance, but what I perceive, and it can be mine or yours, or maybe both of us, is that you also know that it's coming. So I felt this hope as well. I also felt that sadness, but I also felt the hope in knowing that you're going to find it. Thanks, Steve. Are you ready, Rebecca?
Hello, everyone. I don't know what I'm going to say. And somehow this became the answer to the question of what is the topic that I'm going to talk about. We had 3 options talking about the goal, objective, purpose, to how I feel, how am I, or what is my location in the world, myself. And it's 2 days since I was asked to make this speech today. And I've changed my mind about the topic at least 100 times. Every time I chose one of the topics and started to write and prepare, I realized that I was going off on so many tangents because each question has 1,000 answers. So I demanded of myself, find a topic, pick a topic, stick to the topic. And I felt the pressure. So I asked myself, who's putting this pressure on me? It's me. Nobody's making me do anything. Nobody's demanding anything of me. So then I looked into, why am I placing this pressure on myself to make a decision? I could talk about all 3 topics for hours. Where is the demand coming from? And as Steve was saying, we've been talking about the topics of the script that we have been following in our lives, the script from our mother. It's probably no coincidence that we came from the same family, and I also identified with the fact that I don't exist. So I started to look at the things that the way that I've run my life, the decisions that I've made in my life based on this underlying feeling that I don't exist, that I'm not important, that nobody wants to hear what I have to say, nobody sees me. And through all this, I'm considering my location. Why am I here? Why did I come to Madrid? I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be heard. Because of this underlying feeling that nobody sees me, nobody hears me. I need to scream and shout in order to realize that I exist. Since I've been here, I've been connecting with this need to be heard, the pressure that I'm putting on myself to be seen. Then I realized I don't just want to be seen. I want to be seen in a certain way. I want to control the way that other people see me. Then I saw where this demand came from. To control other people's perception of me. It's an illusion. It's impossible. And as long as my focus is on other people's perception, the demand will be there forever. Because it's an impossible task. What a relief. Once I can see that it's impossible, perhaps I can let go of that need, that demand, the pressure that I feel. Maybe I just need to see myself. Maybe I just need to feel myself. And the perception of others is their perception. I can't control that. It's so tiring. Trying to control everything. I wrote many pages, many graphs and diagrams about what I was going to talk about. I read all my notes. I have all my old books from my conscious schools that I've attended, because this was the demand that I had, that I needed to share some information, or maybe prove that I have listened. And in the end, the only thing that I could do to prove to myself that I had listened was to give up, to surrender and trust that when I did come to the couch in front of the camera with the microphone, that what I was going to share was perfect. And that I don't know anything. I have nothing to prove. The only person demanding and putting pressure on me is me. Just to be able to breathe that in. Such a relief. I came here to be confronted by others. All I needed to do was to confront myself. So while I didn't actually talk about any of the things that I wrote down, or even any of the 1,000 things that I thought about saying, and right now I can't remember what I've said. because really my intention was to speak from the heart. And somehow to reach to the heart of others, for them to confront themselves about whatever it is I've said. And to accept our place where we are physically, emotionally, on our journey of self-exploration, on our journey within, our search for our potential. And really, it doesn't matter the perception of anybody else. What matters is our perception of ourselves. And to reach that point of acceptance of our purity and innocence. I want to thank you for listening. I hope that somehow through my expression of my journey can reach a part of you for you to continue on your journey too.
Thank you, Rebecca. Who would like to start?
Thank you, Rebecca. It was difficult for me. I got nervous and felt like lack of air. And I could see myself trying to follow you, but a part of me resisting, just taking pictures or working on the computer. And I was like, why can't I be here? That's what I got. Something like, what I got was something like not letting me in. I also connected with melancholy. I think it's said that way in English. And like the cry out of a dying man. And I felt confronted also in the fact that I think that often when I allow myself to talk, unless I'm just being bubbly, fake me, I think that is the energy that also comes out of deep inside of me. Maybe that's why I also was a bit resistant to really allowing myself to be by it. So thank you for allowing me to see myself.
Thank you, Amalia.
Well, Rebecca, how did you make me feel? Took me through a whole range of emotions, from frustration to relief and beyond. It was beautiful to hear you. Took me into your journey with you, the journey of self-demanding. I know it's always been a problem for you, but you're seeing that self-demand is unnecessary. Proving yourself to others is unnecessary. But it also confronted me with the fact that I want to be accepted as well. So you're fighting against that internal urge to prove yourself. It's beautiful to see. I think the frustration that you took me into, I think I displayed a little at the table earlier when you were throwing out this topic and bringing in that and flicking through the 1,001 topics that you wanted to speak about. So I'm relieved that you spoke from the heart, and it felt wonderful sitting here listening to you. You look very comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, for Rebecca, is this also your first cycle in the Leaders and Mentors program? But you've been part of the team for longer. So I'm going to ask you for permission to go a little bit more, to be a little bit more cutting. Yeah. And the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to give your speech again, but connecting to the part of you that wants to exist. Because the feeling that I received throughout your speech was that you were telling us over and over and over, I don't exist. I don't exist. Please disconnect from what I'm saying because it's not that important. You're probably not even interested because I don't really exist. And I think that at this point, you're ready to go a little bit farther than that. And manifest the real will to exist that I also heard throughout the speech. Maybe not necessarily the whole speech, but briefly, maybe even shake yourself up a little bit, move around to get the blood, the air, the life flowing through your body. And then realize that everyone here is here because we want to listen and hear Rebecca. Please.
Rebeca. Como si estuviésemos aquí unos cuantos amigos y estamos jugando a decir cómo nos sentimos, qué estamos transitando en esta aventura, qué te está sucediendo aquí con nosotros, contigo y con nosotros.
Like if we were some friends of yours and you were just telling us what is happening to you, what are you feeling, what are you transmitting.
Como si todos tuviésemos la edad de Liana, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 años.
Like if all here we got the Diana's age, like 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Como si esto no fuese serio.
Like if this is not serious at all.
Como si estuviésemos aquí para divertirnos e ir más allá, desde el juego.
Like we were here to enjoy and to go far away from the game.
I'm just taking in. I can't start yet because I'm looking back on the fact that in trying to connect with my feelings, I actually didn't connect with my personality or the way that I normally talk. So and I think I'm also trying to feel this transmission that I don't exist.
Rebecca.
Because that's what I'm in.
Rebecca.
Yes?
I would like to interrupt you.
Thank you.
There's no need to apologize or find why you did the speech the way you did, because you did it perfectly. It was exactly the way it was supposed to be. And without trying to apologize, please accept the invitation that Laura did and connect to the wish to exist. And to be heard.
I would suggest to try to give your speech standing up.
I'm now going to give my second speech. which I still don't know what I'm going to say, but I know I want to be heard. And the very fact that I'm speaking to you without notes, without a plan, without a pretty diagram to draw on the board, is my confrontation with myself, is my practicing trusting myself to express myself freely as I am. And this actually is the part of me that wants to be heard. One of the many parts of me that wants to be heard. Where am I located? I'm coming from a place of frustration. Frustration with myself. Frustration with the language. This language barrier that Steve spoke about is something I've been feeling since I started to attend in mastery events and conscious school. And I used it as a protection, as an excuse to hide. And then I got frustrated with myself about wanting to be heard. Communication seems to be something that I thought I didn't have frustration with. So it seems I've placed myself in a situation where I feel there are obstacles to communication. Is this the self-demand again? Placing myself in a situation where I need to demand more of myself and able to communicate who I am. Maybe this is it. I want to communicate that I exist. I want to communicate beyond words. But this underlying feeling of not being important creates a blockage between me and the others, the world. So I point outside at the ones that are not listening, the ones that are not seeing. And now I'm pointing inside. Because unless I feel existence, unless I feel that I'm important, unless I feel that there's something that needs to be heard, no one's going to listen and no one's going to see. So now I know where to start. I exist. I am important. I have many things to say. And the things I need to say are important. And on this journey, every moment, I'm learning how to communicate and to see the things that I feel are important for me to communicate with the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. You've seen it? Do you see the switch? In which moment did she appear? I have the microphone is in front.
In the first speech, I didn't share because I say I don't know how to see it from the potential, because I was feeling like tragedy, like story of tragedy, and it took me like at the beginning, in the top of the stomach, and moving through the head and here, but I didn't localize where was coming or taking me the speech. And now I see like something change energetically, like a release. Like when you don't know what to say, and then you start saying things that truly comes from the heart. And I was confronted in the first one, thinking, do I still care for others and their perception? And in this one, it's like I don't know if a confrontation or an opportunity to realize, I also exist. I also have important things to say. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Rebecca. Do we have time to hear Amalia? Since we're coming towards the end of this mentorship program, today is the last day. I would like to invite you to reflect and share what has been the most confronting for you in these days. And what is it that you have seen that you haven't seen before? And I would also like to invite our public. We haven't had comments, or at least we haven't shared any comments so far. But it appears that we have some. And so, Steve, if you would be so kind to bring the microphone over to 0. And while everybody else here could already reflect on the question that I've posed.
We have a question to Rebecca by Stephen Burley. He says, I hear you loud and clear, Rebecca. Can you tell me why you demand so much from yourself? Can you understand why you need demand something that is ultimately the perception of others? Is that what is really important?
Hi, Stephen. I feel that the self-demanding comes from a deep feeling of not being good enough. From the script that I learned from my parents, the conditioning that I'm not good enough, that I was never good enough, and nothing I could ever do would ever be good enough. So that's where I have comprehended before about where this self-demanding comes from, which is also part of the script about I do not exist, that I'm not important. So really the self-demanding is tied in with the perception, the importance of the perception of others. Because of course it was my parents' perception of me that was not good enough. The message that they gave me was that what they could see of me was not good enough for them to love me. So I feel like that's where the root of it came from. I can see it, and I don't know what will happen for me to move through this, other than to continue to observe when these situations arise. Observe it and resist the tendency to beat myself up over demanding it again and demanding that I stop demanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, another comment.
We have another question about Yogan Brophy. He says, I always remember the first time I entered the epicenter in Waterford. You were the only one who was connected to your personality at the time. How important is it to stay connected?
Well, I think I learned today to embrace that personality, because that's how I've communicated till now. And if I don't connect with that personality, then I'm not being true to who I am. Not being true to who I am is going to create mistrust in myself and in others. So I'm grateful to Laura for pointing out to me the way that I wasn't connecting with that me, which is another observation, that I didn't see that me as important enough to express myself. So thanks, Owen.
In this question and comment by Owen, I see the opportunity to go back to that moment in which you said, in which you were about to start the second speech, and you were saying, I was not connected to my personality. To me, that was an important moment, because it appeared to me like the attempt to connect to something that you know, to connect to the way of communication that you know. And for me, there's the important difference, Owen, to distinguish between connecting to what I believe to be my personality, to what I believe to be my way of doing things, which is what Rebecca did at first when she was starting to repeat. And then to disconnect from that and go to connect to what you really are, to your true, authentic expression of yourself. And this is what Rebecca did in the second attempt to repeat. And so to stay connected to the personality, to me, to say it that way is a trap. The trap to stay in the mechanism of what you know. So I invite you to reflect on this and see what do you actually mean by stay connected to the personality. Because it could be a way to stay the same and not open for a change. To close this round of the morning, I would like to invite the public that has had time to reflect on what's been the confrontation the last couple of days. And I would like to invite everybody to wake up, to stop looking at their screens, and to just share with one sentence what has been a confrontation, to be in contact with yourself and with those outside, behind the other side of the screen of this emission this morning. And Steve has the microphone. It's in front of you. Just one short sentence of what was the most confronting in this last days of the mentorship training. Just to share.
The most confronting for me was the comprehension that I had to change the topic at the last minute. It's not me at all to do that, and that was confronting. But I think it enabled me to speak from inside rather than from my head. So it was a good decision. It was a good confrontation.
Which could be connected to what we saw yesterday with Carmen, it is possible to change a decision. Thank you, Steve. Miquela, la pregunta fue, ¿qué fue la más confrontadora en estos días de liderazgo y mentorado? ¿Sabes qué es este momento?
¿De los discursos o en general, como
Para
momento?
ti, en general. I'm repeating the question because Miquela was not listening to the translation.
El momento más confrontante ha sido darme cuenta.
The most confronting moment was to realize,
el primer día,
on the first day,
que cuando vimos el guión de la madre,
when we've seen the script of the mother,
acerca del, si se acuerdan, de los 3 núcleos que crean los 3 guiones principales.
If you remember the 3 vortexes that create the principal script.
Y el primer núcleo era el punto de la valoración.
And the first core was the one of the valorization.
Y si se acuerdan, vimos los 4 matices principales que conforman ese núcleo.
And we were seeing the first 4 descriptions that are conforming this script.
Y entre esos 4 había yo, yo soy más que tú.
And there was the one that was saying, I am more than you.
Y tú eres menos que yo.
And you are less than me.
Y yo me di cuenta que de esos 4 yo tenía 2.
And I realized that amongst these 4, I had 2.
Porque en un cierto sentido yo tuve 2 madres.
Because in a certain way I did have 2 mothers.
Entonces me di cuenta que mi madre biológica,
I realized that my biologic mother,
desde el principio siempre me dijo, tú eres más que yo.
From the beginning she has always said to me, you are more than me.
En cambio, la madre adquirida,
and then the other mother, adopted, acquired, the acquired mother.
Siempre me dijo, yo valgo más que tú.
She was always saying that I am more worthy than you.
Entonces, la primera siempre quiso mi juventud, mi presencia, mi belleza,
So the first one was always talking about my youth, my presence, my beauty.
En cambio, la otra madre siempre me transmitió, tú no hables, tú no opines, no es necesario porque la razón la tengo yo.
And the other one was always saying that you don't speak, you don't have an opinion because I am always right.
Y entonces para mí ha sido tremendamente confrontante darme cuenta de que no solo está rigiendo un guión, sino 2 que se complementan y se refuerzan.
And for me it was very confronting to realize that I didn't only have these 2 scripts, but they are reinforcing and making each other stronger.
Y veo claramente adentro de mí ambos guiones que rigen diferentes
partes de mí en cada momento.
And I can see clearly how these two scripts are present and directing every moment,
desarrollándose en un conjunto de una mezcla rara de complejo de superioridad y de inferioridad,
and they result in a very complex mixture of superiority and inferiority complexes.
que en diferentes momentos uno aparece en vez que el otro, en otros momentos el otro en vez que el uno.
And it's in different moments. The one is stronger than the other, and then the other one is stronger than the one before.
Y es confrontante ver desde dónde han llegado.
It's confronting to see where they came from.
Y en la práctica real, en cómo poder editar conscientemente ambos guiones.
And to see how in the real practice I could consciously edit these two scripts.
Es tremendamente confrontante.
It's very confronting.
Gracias.
Thank you.
A mí me pasa algo similar que a Miquela, porque bueno,
Similar than Miquela, do you want to say it in English?
English, because so I feel a similar situation to Miquela, except that she had two mothers. I only have one, but the one I do have is almost like double. Una pero vale por dos. And what she transmitted to me is I am more than you, but you are worth more than me. So it was as if the being more came from a place of clearly false power to cover a deeper inferiority. And I can see perfectly how I've acquired that script. And then it becomes, for me, very difficult to be able to observe what is happening in each moment. And then it joins in with the script of the I don't exist, where the consequence is that I cannot see myself. So it becomes very bipolar at times. For me, the most confronting was yesterday when I did the speech, simply to speech for others, and recognizing the script of I don't exist, that I couldn't see the first thing.
Thank you. Who else would like to share?
A mí no hay un momento
For me, there's not
puntual.
one moment, like a punctual moment,
sino que me confronta en el momento de interactuar.
It's more like in the moment of interacting, I'm confronted.
El estar atenta,
To be attentive,
el estar presente,
to be present,
en el presente, aquí.
to be in the present, in the here.
Sí. Observando.
Observing.
Es una observación que me confronta.
And the observation is what confronts me.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Sorry, you caught me on the hop when you asked me what confronted me, but listening to people, it's a massive realization that when we were going through the script and we were asked which we most identified with, and straight away I identified with the I can't. But then as the days have gone on, I've been confronted time and time again by realizing that also I'm not valued, and also eventually that I don't exist. So it's been one continual confrontation for me in a beautiful way.
And so with this comment, we conclude today by confronting whoever else wanted to share. Thank you, everybody, for this beautiful session. Thank you for being part of it, and thank you for sharing. We have to cut here, and I would like to invite whoever hasn't been able to speak now to speak tonight, to share tonight. And I hope to see you all tonight at 7 o'clock. We start again with the leadership and mentor workshop, the last one for this module. We'll start at 7 p.m. and we will first have the initial workshop of 2 hours, and then the 2 hours where we go very deep together with Alberto. Thank you all. I wish you a great Sunday and see you later.